In the cozy little town of Willowbrook, there lived a teacup named Tilly. But Tilly wasn't just any teacup. She was a magical teacup that loved to dance. Every morning, when the sun peeked over the hills, Tilly would tap her delicate porcelain foot, waltz around the kitchen, and twirl with delight. She loved the feeling of the cool breeze coming in through the open window, and she especially loved the sound of the soft jingling of the teaspoons. But the humans in Willowbrook didn't know about Tilly's dancing secret. No one ever noticed. After all, who would expect a teacup to dance, right? And so, Tilly danced alone. One day, as Tilly was pirouetting around the kitchen counter, a small, squeaky voice interrupted. "Hey, watch out!" Tilly stopped mid-spin and turned. To her surprise, there was a tiny mouse standing on the countertop, looking up at her with wide, curious eyes. "You can talk?" Tilly asked, amazed. "Well, of course I can," said the mouse, puffing out his tiny chest. "I'm Wiggles, the most invisible mouse in the whole town." "Invisible?" Tilly asked, raising an eyebrow. "But I can see you." "That's the tricky part," Wiggles said with a wink. "I'm invisible, unless I really want to be seen. It's a bit like, well, a magic trick, but I'm still learning." Tilly giggled. "Well, nice to meet you, Wiggles. I'm Tilly. I'm a dancing teacup." Wiggles looked at her in awe. "A dancing teacup? That's the best thing I've ever heard. Can I join you?" "Join me? Oh, I'm not sure," Tilly said, feeling a bit shy. "You see, I'm not exactly great at sharing the dance floor." "Well, that's perfect," Wiggles squeaked. "I'll be your partner, and we can make the best dance duo in Willowbrook." Tilly thought about it for a moment. "All right, you're on. But you've got to promise not to step on my feet." Wiggles, despite being tiny and invisible, was eager to give it a try. And so, together, they started practicing. The next day, Tilly and Wiggles held their very first dance rehearsal. Tilly spun, waltzed, and twirled with elegance. Wiggles, being invisible, scurried around her feet, weaving in and out, creating the illusion that Tilly was dancing on her own, but with an added flair. Tilly wasn't used to having a partner, but to her surprise, it was fun. She was no longer dancing alone. Wiggles was fast, clever, and always just a little bit mischievous. "All right, Tilly, now for the grand finale," Wiggles shouted. "You spin, I'll leap over your handle." Tilly carefully spun, and as planned, Wiggles jumped high, but a bit too high. He flew right into a jar of sugar. "Oh no!" Wiggles squeaked. "I'm stuck, help!" Tilly rushed over and carefully helped him out, shaking the sugar off his tiny body. "Maybe a little less jumping next time?" Tilly giggled, trying not to laugh. Wiggles sighed. Okay, I'll keep the jumps to a minimum. But we're going to be amazing, Tilly. I just know it." And with that, the two continued practicing, finding their rhythm, learning new steps, and having fun in the kitchen. As the weeks went by, their dancing became the talk of Willowbrook. But no one could understand how a teacup and a mouse could dance so gracefully. The humans of Willowbrook simply thought it was the wind, or perhaps the movement of the table. They couldn't explain it, but they knew something magical was happening in that little kitchen. But not everyone was thrilled about Tilly's dancing. One afternoon, while they were practicing a new move called the teacup twirl, the kitchen door creaked open, and in walked Brad, the town's best and most serious baker. "Good gracious, what's going on here?" she gasped, noticing the twirling teacup and the little mouse running around it. "This kitchen is for baking, not dancing." Wiggles froze in midair. Tilly's handle quivered. "We're just having a little fun," Tilly said, a bit nervously. "Fun?" Brad huffed. "You're making a mess. If you keep twirling around like this, flour will go everywhere, and I'll never be able to bake my famous cupcakes." Tilly felt a little embarrassed. She didn't want to cause trouble, but she also didn't want to stop dancing. "I'm sorry," Tilly said quietly. "I didn't mean to cause a mess. I just love to dance." Brad looked at Tilly for a long moment. Then something unexpected happened. Brad smiled. "You know what?" she said, her voice softening. "Maybe I've been too serious. Perhaps a little dance could lighten things up around here." And with that, Brad carefully set down the tray of flour she had been carrying and took a tiny step toward Tilly. "All right, Tilly, show me how it's done. Let's see what this dance is all about." Tilly grinned and tapped her foot. She waltzed gracefully across the counter, and to her delight, Brad joined her, clumsily at first, but laughing all the while. Wiggles, of course, took a flying leap over Brad's head, landing on the windowsill in a perfect acrobatic flip. The three of them, Brad, Tilly, and Wiggles, danced around the kitchen, laughing and twirling together. The flour, which had once been so serious, now floated in the air like snowflakes, dusting the room in a soft, magical glow. From that day on, the kitchen in Willowbrook became a place of laughter and dance, with Tilly, Wiggles, and Brad teaching everyone the joy of moving together. And sometimes, just sometimes, when the sun was setting and the kitchen was quiet, you could hear a tiny mouse whispering from the counter, "Let's dance. The world is better when we do." And in that moment, everyone agreed.